If you're a parent, especially a parent of a child with dyslexia, you know that feeling when the school year ends. It's this little knot of anxiety, right? You worry about how much of that hard-won progress is going to disappear over the break. And look, that is a totally valid concern. But today, we're going to flip that idea on its head. What if the real problem isn't the break itself, but what comes after it? Let's dive into what the research really says.
Okay, first, let's just look at the raw data because it is pretty stark. This chart shows it all. You see that first bar? That's the ground a neurotypical student might lose. But then look at the second bar. A student with dyslexia can lose 2, even 3 times more. That gap, yeah, that's the thing that keeps parents up at night. But here's the thing. This is only half the story. And this quote right here, this is the core idea we're unpacking today. The source material is basically telling us we've been blaming the wrong culprit. By focusing only on those 10 weeks of vacation, we're missing the forest for the trees. The real issue, the one that really dictates whether a child bounces back or falls even further behind, is the system they walk back into in the fall. So what do we mean by a systems problem? Well, it really boils down to this: matched versus mismatched instruction. Matched instruction is just what it sounds like. The way a teacher teaches actually clicks with how a student's brain is wired. It just works. But mismatched instruction, that's the opposite. It's like trying to jam a square peg into a round hole over and over all day long. For a kid with dyslexia, a traditional classroom can feel like a constant state of mismatch, creating friction where there should be flow. Now, this slide is where it all comes together. It really lays out the consequences of that mismatch. So look at that first row. A neurotypical student, they lose a little ground, but they come back to a matched environment and boom, they recover pretty quickly. Now look at the second row. A student with dyslexia returns to that mismatched environment. What happens? They don't recover. They actually fall further behind. But the real key is that third row. When that same dyslexic student returns to matched instruction, they recover just as quickly as their peers. This makes it so clear. The September environment is the real game changer. So this brings us to a way more useful way to think about this whole thing. Forget just learning loss. Let's talk about re-engagement velocity. It's a better question, right? Not just what was lost, but how fast can a student get back up to speed and start making progress again? And what we're learning is that this velocity is almost entirely dictated by the school environment they're in. And you can see the difference so clearly here. In a traditional classroom, that re-engagement is a slow, painful climb. A lot of times, the recovery is never even complete because the methods just don't click. But in a specialized, matched environment, the recovery is incredibly fast. We're talking just a few weeks because everything is designed to work with their brain, not fight against it. And you know, there's another piece to this puzzle, and it's a big one: the emotional side of things. I mean, just imagine having to return to a place where you constantly feel frustrated or behind or even ashamed. That anxiety, it creates this huge weight. It's a barrier to learning before the teacher even starts the first lesson. And that's the reality for so many kids walking back into a mismatched classroom. Now let's flip that. Contrast that feeling with returning to a place where you feel capable, where you feel successful, and where you feel totally understood. You remember having those aha moments. That positive feeling doesn't just get rid of the barrier. It actually works like an accelerator. A confident kid has a brain that's primed and ready to learn. And that just supercharges that re-engagement velocity we were talking about. So what's the actual game plan here? What's the most effective strategy? The source material lays out this really powerful 2-part solution. First, yes, absolutely use targeted programs with structured literacy over the break to keep those skills sharp. But second, and this is the most important part, make sure your child returns to a matched, full-time environment where they can hit the ground running and build real momentum for the new school year. But does that mean a specialized school is always the right answer? Well, not necessarily. The sources suggest you should really consider it if you're seeing these signs. Your child is struggling in a lot of subjects, not just reading. Their confidence is shot, and their whole emotional relationship with school is damaged. Or that learning loss just keeps getting worse year after year, even when you're getting them great tutoring. Those are huge red flags that the core environment itself might be the problem. So after all of this, we've kind of reframed the entire issue, haven't we? We started out worrying about the months when school is out. We were focused on what happens during the break. But maybe, just maybe, we were looking at the symptom instead of the actual cause. So the real question, the one that truly holds the key to your child's progress, isn't about the summer at all. It's about the fall. What kind of September is your child returning to? Is it going to be one of mismatch and struggle? Or is it going to be one of understanding, recovery, and real exciting growth? Because that question, that can change everything.